back to Jim Bob's garden. We're up here in North Florida, and of course we've got a lot of problems with bugs up here. You know, Florida's famous for its bugs. We got bugs everywhere, gnats and mosquitoes. But primarily the problem is, like many other farmers, I've got an issue with bugs eating my plants, which I don't really want to share that much. Now, if you look behind me, you can see that I've got marigolds planted and some bee balm here and there and a few other herbs that have been planted in the garden along with the garlic you see behind me, which has worked pretty well in this garden patch to try and keep the bugs out. But what we want to do is we want to try and make some natural insecticide. So what I've done is I've looked around online and I've come up with this recipe. It's essentially hot peppers, garlic, and a little bit of soap. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and cut up some garlic, some peppers, and put it in a jar, and then we're going to let it sit. First off, I got a bag full of dried peppers I got here that we dried from last year's crop. And I'm going to take about 3 of these, and I'm just going to kind of munch them up, tear them up. Well, I guess they ain't as dry as I thought. Kind of tear them up, put them in the jar, seeds and all, stems, it don't matter. We're not going to eat it. It's not a recipe for food, so what we're trying to do is get the juices out of the pepper to basically soak into the water, and the hot pepper should, hopefully, along with the garlic I'm fixing to put in here, help keep the bugs from eating up my plants. Now, one of the things I will tell you is if you're putting this on your plants, you kind of got to think about what kind of plants you're putting it on. I mean, you can probably put it on just about anything because it's all natural, it ain't going to hurt anything. But you got to look at, leafy vegetables that you're going to eat. Obviously, you don't want to necessarily flavor them by covering them up in pepper sauce. All right, so I got 3 peppers in there, and then let me grab some garlic. Now, my garlic hasn't grown up full yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the garlic fronds. I'm going to cut a few of those, which, by the way, if you're growing garlic, is a great way to put garlic and stuff before your garlic crop has come in. All right, so let me cut some of these. All right, so what I got is I've got 3 garlic fronds and 3 peppers. Now, obviously this is something I haven't done before, so we're kind of experimenting with the recipe. If you go online or a couple other places where you see this recipe, it talks about doing it in 4 gallons of water, and then for that you use 2 cups of peppers, and I think it's a whole clove of garlic. But for my purposes, I'm going to do it in a quart mason jar, and then I'm going to go ahead and dilute it from there. So I'm going to use 3 garlic fronds and 3 peppers, because I'll probably remember the 3 and 3 mixture. And I just chop them up, put them in here. Now you can put it in a food processor, but my food processor is still full of smoothies right now. My family loves smoothies. Blueberry smoothies, actually. Beautiful day here, by the way. Hard to complain about days like this. And just so we got a date on it, it's actually April 25th. So chop that down real good. And then I've got some rainwater that I collected from the recent rains. I'm going to fill that up with water. All right. Then we're going to close this up and shake it around real good. All right. And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to let this sit out kind of like sun tea. I'm going to let it sit for at least a day out in the sun. That's why I picked the mason jar, because it'll, allow the sun to kind of cook it a bit. And then from there we'll go ahead and dilute it, add a little bit of dish soap to it just to make it stick a little better, and then I'll spray it on the plants. So this is just the first step, and we'll get back to the other steps here tomorrow.